Did you see how a bullet flew an inch from Donald Trump's head? This isn't the only assassination attempt in US history where a president was miraculously saved. I will tell you who and when hunted the leaders and how they managed to survive. At the end, there will be the craziest story about a glasses case, so stay tuned. But first, let's dive into what happened with Donald Trump and what new details have emerged in this case. During a rally in Pennsylvania, there was an attack on former US President Donald Trump, who is expected to be Joe Biden's main competitor in the upcoming election. Incredibly, 9 shots were fired at Trump, including at his head. Veteran journalist and photographer Doug Mills from The New York Times, who has been covering presidential lives since 1983, captured on camera the moment when one of the bullets flew towards Trump's head. Out of all the shots, one hit the target, slightly grazing the former president's ear. It was a miracle that saved him. Trump instinctively jerked his head, which allowed him to dodge the trajectory. The sniper didn't miss. The target just moved at the last moment. Insane, right? After the bullet hit, Trump grabbed his ear and fell to the ground. But as soon as he was surrounded by security, he jumped to his feet, raised his fist, and shouted, "Fight!" twice. The crowd didn't immediately understand what had happened. Recalling those moments, Trump says, "I felt the bullet pierce my ear, heard the whistle, the shots, and felt sharp pain and bleeding. I immediately knew what was happening. The assailant was neutralized on the spot by security forces. Ironically, they were the ones who had missed him. Several witnesses at the rally had warned the police about a man with a rifle who had climbed onto a nearby roof. One witness shared this with BBC News. Can you imagine? No one did anything. The shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old politically active supporter of Ukraine and opponent of Trump, had his statements posted on social media, but they were quickly removed. Peculiarities of the assassination attempt. But let's talk about the peculiarities of this assassination attempt. One of the most obvious is the breach of standard security procedures. Normally, before public appearances by the president, the Secret Service thoroughly checks the venue for potential threats. However, this time, such a check was either inadequately conducted or skipped altogether. Moreover, even if the initial work was poorly done, the security heed the warnings about the suspicious armed man. It's a mystery. And why was the shooter simply killed rather than detained for questioning? Let me share a few alternative theories about the assassination attempt. For instance, that the whole situation could have been staged. The shooter took a position on a roof far from where Trump was supposed to speak, which seemed illogical for a real threat. Experts point to a possible exaggeration of the security's role, reacting too theatrically to the threat, reminiscent of scenes from Hollywood movies. Additionally, one of the security guards was seen handling his weapon clumsily, casting doubt on the professionalism of the Secret Service, and Trump himself immediately started shouting political slogans and energizing the crowd. Another theory is that the assassination attempt was orchestrated by globalists to prevent Trump from returning to power, which could disrupt their plans for global control. Dugan claims that this is the work of the so-called deep state, whose interests Trump could undermine. According to him, the assassination attempt is part of a broader conspiracy to eliminate any obstacles to a unipolar world. Which version seems more plausible to you? While you write your comments, let me tell you about other crazy assassination attempts. Andrew Jackson was the first president in US history to face an assassination attempt. He served as the head of state from 1829 to 1837 and left a significant mark on America's political history. Jackson is particularly known for his harsh policies towards Native Americans and his actions leading to the closure of the Second Bank of the United States, a powerful financial institution that had a significant influence on the country's economic life. These measures led to an economic crisis, causing mass unemployment and increased public discontent. In such conditions, Richard Lawrence, a former painter who lost his job, decided to take revenge on the president. January 30th, 1835, became the day Lawrence made his fatal attempt. He attended the funeral ceremony of Congressman Warren Davis held at the Capitol. Armed with 2 flintlock pistols, he approached Jackson as he was leaving the building surrounded by several people. The incident took an unexpected turn. When Lawrence pulled the trigger of the first pistol, the damp weather affected the gunpowder, and the pistol misfired. Not losing his composure, Lawrence grabbed the second pistol, but Jackson, instinctively sensing the threat and turning at the sound of the misfire, managed to knock the weapon out of the attacker's hands with his cane. This action by the president allowed his companions to quickly subdue Lawrence and prevent the potential assassination. The scene of the head of state defending himself with a cane seems incredible by today's standards, but back then, there were no special units. Every meeting with voters was based on trust. Or consider the assassination attempt on President Harry Truman, which became one of the most dramatic episodes in the history of the US and Puerto Rico. What happened? Let me explain. This incident was a direct consequence of an intense political conflict and the Puerto Rican nationalists' struggle for independence. In October 1950, shortly after the start of an uprising organized by the Nationalist Party of Puerto Rico, Griselio Torresola and Oscar Collazo devised a plan to assassinate the US president. Their motivation was clear. They hoped to draw international attention to their fight for independence and protest against how the American government handled the Puerto Rican uprising, which Truman dismissively described as internecine struggles. Torresola and Collazo were aware of the high likelihood of their death as a result of the attack, but considered the sacrifice necessary to achieve their common goal. The ironic part is that one of the attackers didn't even know how to shoot. Collazo barely hit his target with 8 bullets, while Torresola, demonstrating sniper skills, wounded several security agents. President Truman, who was in the White House at the time, woke up to the sounds of gunfire and approached the window to see what was happening, prompting immediate reactions from the security agents who ordered him to step back. The tragedy ended with Torresola being killed by guard Leslie Cauffield, who, despite being mortally wounded, managed to shoot the attacker. Collazo was sentenced to life imprisonment. Truman himself, commenting on the incident, noted that he did not feel fear, relying on his experience from World War I. This act of violence led to a more serious consideration of Puerto Rico's status. Truman supported a plebiscite in 1952, which solidified the island's status as a free associated state, established in 1950. So the guys who organized the assassination attempt achieved their goal. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a distant relative of Theodore Roosevelt, became the 32nd President of the United States and left a significant mark not only on American history but also on global politics. He is known for his decisive contribution to aiding the USSR during World War II and for repealing Prohibition, which dealt a severe blow to the mafia by cutting off their significant revenue from alcohol smuggling. The attempt on Roosevelt's life occurred under dramatic circumstances on February 15, 1933. After his election, but before his official inauguration. An anarchist named Giuseppe Zangara was determined to carry out the assassination and came very close to achieving his goal. As Zangara drew his pistol and took aim, a simple American woman struck his hand. This sudden intervention altered the bullet's trajectory. It veered off and wounded a congressman standing nearby. The brave action of this woman also helped draw attention to Zangara, leading to his immediate apprehension and preventing a potential assassination. This incident not only showcased the personal courage of the American woman, but also highlighted the risks faced by political figures during times of significant social and political upheaval. Luckily for Roosevelt, this event ended without any tragic consequences for him. Everyone could use such vigilant supporters around. Speaking of protection, what should you do? Oh, if you get into a car accident in the USA, where should you seek help? How do you find a competent lawyer? How can you get compensation if you don't have insurance? The company DDP America has helped clients receive compensation totaling $21 million. They can definitely answer all your questions. Check the link in the description. The attempt on Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, occurred on March 30, 1981. just 2 months after his inauguration. Reagan was leaving a hotel in Washington, D.C., where he had held a meeting with construction union representatives. As usual, a crowd had gathered to see the new leader of the nation. A young man named John Hinckley suddenly broke through the crowd and fired 6 shots. Besides Reagan, 3 other people were injured. The president himself was hit in the lung, though not directly. The bullet first struck the bulletproof glass of the limousine and then ricocheted into Reagan. Reagan was urgently taken to the hospital, where he underwent surgery. Despite the seriousness of the situation, he recovered and soon returned to his presidential duties. Hinckley, on the other hand, suffered from severe mental disorders. After the assassination attempt, he was placed in a psychiatric clinic, where he spent many years until his release in 2016. Hinckley's motives were as bizarre as they come. He was obsessed with actress Jodie Foster. He tried to gain her attention in this extreme way, hoping that an attempt on the president's life would be the greatest declaration of love in world history. Crazy, right? In letters he wrote after the trial, Hinckley expressed regret that the actress had rejected his feelings. Interesting, isn't it? By the way, modern history also has plenty of assassination attempts. Bill Clinton, the 42nd President of the United States, according to Secret Service reports, became one of the most frequently targeted presidents, with over 30 registered attempts on his life. These attempts were thwarted thanks to advances in intelligence capabilities and security technologies. One of the most notable incidents occurred on October 29, 1994, when 27-year-old Francisco Martin Duran from Colorado Springs opened fire on the north facade of the White House with an automatic weapon. Duran managed to fire about 30 shots before being apprehended by police. At that moment, Bill Clinton was in another part of the building, completely unaware of what was happening as he was watching a football game. No White House employees were injured. The investigation revealed that Duran had been planning the assassination for several years. Ultimately, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison. He simply couldn't stand the current leader's policies. Or consider this even more recent case. At the end of August 2008, when Denver hosted the Democratic National Convention, an attempt was made to assassinate Barack Obama, then a presidential candidate and future 44th President of the United States. During this tense time, the FBI successfully prevented the tragedy by arresting 3 conspirators whose motives were based on racist beliefs. Among the detainees were 2 young men, 20-year-old Daniel Cowart and 18-year-old Paul Schlesselman, both expressing extremist views and meeting through the internet. During the arrest, they were found with 3 pistols, a rifle, and a sawed-off shotgun. The investigation revealed that their criminal plans had been discussed for about a month before the arrest. And in addition to assassinating Obama, they also planned to kill 88 and decapitate 14 African Americans, numbers of particular significance in neo-Nazi subculture. This incident sparked theories that the assassination attempt could have been staged as part of Obama's election campaign to emphasize the seriousness and danger faced by African Americans aspiring to high political office. Such versions, however, find no confirmation in official sources and remain within the realm of conspiracy theories. And what do you say about an attempted assassination using a grenade? The attempt on President George W. Bush in Tbilisi on May 10, 2005, and the planned plot in Jordan in 2007 are vivid examples of the risks faced by heads of state during international visits. In Tbilisi, the incident occurred in Freedom Square, where a stage had been set up for the president's speeches. A Georgian citizen named Arutyunyan threw a hand grenade towards the stage. By sheer luck, the grenade did not detonate. A security officer quickly moved it to a safe location, preventing potential tragic consequences. This case raised many questions, including why American representatives had not noticed the object being thrown. The responsibility for the foreign guest's protection lay entirely with the Georgian authorities, who, according to some, did not respond adequately to the incident. Another serious test for security services occurred in 2007. Several months before George W. Bush's planned visit to Jordan, the country's police uncovered a plot. The conspirators planned to attack the U.S. Embassy when the president was expected to be there. Thanks to the professional work of agents, the assassination was prevented, and the conspirators were arrested in March, many months before the planned attack. And as promised, another lucky survivor alongside Donald Trump. The assassination attempt on Theodore Roosevelt in 1912 remains one of the most iconic moments in American political history. On October 14, 1912, during his presidential campaign, Roosevelt was striving to regain the presidency, running from the new Progressive Party. The incident occurred before his speech at a rally in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. John Schrank, a mentally disturbed man, shot Roosevelt, hoping to end his political career. Despite being shot in the chest, the bullet was slowed down by several items: a coat, a glasses case, and a folded speech in his jacket pocket. These layers reduced the bullet's impact, allowing Roosevelt not only to survive, but also to continue his speech. With incredible stoicism, he spent 90 minutes on stage, delivering his speech to an astonished audience. After the rally, Roosevelt was taken to the hospital, where doctors confirmed that the bullet had grazed his right lung. Despite the severity of the wound, it was decided to leave the bullet in his body, as surgery posed a greater risk to his health. The bullet remained in his body for the rest of his life, a reminder of his indomitable spirit and courage. Can you imagine? Share your thoughts in the comments, and yes, if you liked the episode, be sure to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. I would be very grateful.